Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are FC.
It's time for Royals baseball. Live from Kauffman Stadium, Fox Sports Kansas City presents the Royals as they take on the Indians. And Royals baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Sunday afternoon to you, wherever you may be. It's the Royals and the Indians, the final game of the season, and still an important game for the Royals. They need a win today for 4 consecutive winning seasons for just the second time in team history. The Indians have already won the division, but they need a win today and a Red Sox loss so that they can have home field advantage in the first round of the playoffs. We'll talk about a lot today. We'll spend some time looking forward to 2017. But when we come back, Monty, Joel, and Hud will join me here on the set. We will look back at our favorite memories of 2016. Say goodbye to the 2016 season. And we welcome you back out to left field, and who better to review our favorite moments from 2016 with my favorite guys in television in Kansas City. Joel, you and I have the same moment, and no one, I think, is ever going to forget May 28th, right here at Kauffman Stadium, the greatest 9th inning comeback in team history. The Royals are down by 6. They score 7, and the walk-off hit comes from Brett Eibner, who had just been called up. And Joel, you have an entertaining behind-the-scenes story.
Well, every day when the Royals are winning, I get down to the field to do that Gatorade interview. But if they're losing, I start to work my way out here. If the go-ahead run is coming to the plate, I get closer. It's sort of a back and forth. That big lead for the White Sox that day seemed safe to come out here until suddenly a run, and 2 and 3. And our audio engineer, Randy Miller, looks at me and says, you think you might want to get back to the field? And I'm hightailing it back there, but try not to run too fast because that video is going to end up on YouTube. Oops, look who didn't think they were going to win. Thanks for a pitching change and a couple of more hits and a big Gatorade bath afterwards. It was a lot of fun.
All right, let's continue to talk behind the scenes, because HUD's moment was the ultimate behind the scenes.
Oh, for sure it was. You know, I always knew the Royals were a classy organization before I even joined the team. But what they did for the White House was very special. They invited our wives, and in the invitation, it was a classy invite. It was beautiful, well done, first-class operation, the Glass family. They treated our wives, in which the wives really don't get all that respect in this game, but you know what? It was very special. The White House was open to all the rooms. There was no talk of any baseball. We were all just really enjoying the real White House. Very special and classy job by the organization.
All right, let's talk about one of the greatest single-game performances in Royals history. And we'll discuss that with one of the greatest pitchers in Royals history.
Well, that's very kind of you, Ryan. And I look back to that game on August 1st when Danny Duffy took the hill, strikes out 16 Tampa Bay Rays. And to me, that turned the season around. Not only one of the greatest pitching performances in Royals history, it got things going because the team coming off a 7-win July. So Danny Duffy really got things going, and I think it kind of trickled down. The rest of the rotation got going, and it made September baseball very fun and interesting here in Kansas City again.
And it was also a banner year for the Royals fans supporting the Royals this year. And when we come back, we'll talk about those numbers. For several Royals players with individual statistics, it was also one of the best attended years at Kauffman Stadium. Our Honda most trusted fans, through 80 dates, we have the second highest attendance in Royals franchise history. And on the television side, I should tell you that for the second consecutive year, the Royals had the highest local television ratings in all of Major League Baseball. So we thank you for that. Eric Hosmer has something to say to you when we come back.
Season is coming to a close. There have been many great moments and some hard times as well. But what has never wavered has been our effort or your support. It is an honor to play in front of the best and most supportive fans in all of baseball, and we thank you for that privilege. We've had great celebrations, and we will again. Count on that. It is why we wear the Kansas City Royals uniform, for you, the fans. Right there, buddy. Thank you for everything you give us every game.
Brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. Every ticket you play gives back to schools across Missouri. So play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. By Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by your Midwest Ford dealers. Visit your MidwestFordDealers.com. Wow, 73 degrees, mostly sunny, a few white puffy clouds overhead, just kind of hanging over the ballpark like they're going to be watching the game today. And a nice crowd for the final game for the Royals in 2016. It is a big day for the Cleveland Indians and several teams around Major League Baseball. A lot still needs to be settled. Our T-Mobile greater coverage of baseball. Over on the other side of the state, the Cardinals need a win and a Giants loss to force a tiebreaker. In the American League, the Tigers need to win, or the Orioles and Jays need to lose, and then they would need to play the makeup game with the Indians, hoping for a tiebreaker. You got all that, Hud?
I do, Rhino, but you know what? I can just tell you that every member of those teams, instead of being tight and saying, oh my gosh, it's, oh yeah, I got an opportunity to play a meaningful game. I'm going to do only what I'm concerned, what only I can control, my job, pull for my teammates, and regardless of the outcome, I'm going to carry myself like a pro. That's what they're saying.
Boy, Terry Francona and the Indians have been a heavy lift for the Royals this year. The Indians are 13-5. They have won the last 7 with the Royals, and they're going for a 3-game sweep today. If they win and both the Red Sox and the Tigers lose, the Indians will not have to go to Detroit tomorrow, and they will have home field in the first round of the playoffs.
And Terry Francona was telling me, if that's the case, really, there's nothing wrong with that. A baseball game tomorrow. He says the only thing I'm concerned with is the fact that I don't have enough clean underwear.
That's great, Hud. Thanks for sharing that with us.
That's what he told me. That was beautiful. I loved it.
I'll bet he didn't know you were going to repeat that on the air today.
Probably not, but you know what? It's the truth. Sometimes you have extra road trip that you didn't plan for.
Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard. Some impressive numbers for Ian Kennedy. Oh boy. 7 consecutive seasons with 30+ starts. Just the 5th current major leaguer to claim that. He is second only to Justin Verlander for lowest ERA in the American League since July the 30th. Pulled foul by Carlos Santana. No balls and 1 strike. I guess, Hud, from your point of view, though, you're thinking if you were to offend anyone today, the worst thing that would happen is that someone would say, don't come back tomorrow.
Yeah, and you know that there's been that we are uttered many times after hearing some of the comments from their color commentator. But look, Rhino, it's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed you guys, and especially you, having fun watching baseball games and sharing our thoughts. What a privilege that is for me. Thank you.
It's been a lot of fun, win or lose.
Right.
2-1 on Santana. Carlos Santana has the highest OPS, on base plus slugging, of any visiting player in Kauffman Stadium history. Over 1,100. And he's ahead in the count, 3 balls and 1 strike. In this series, 5 out of 8 with a double, 2 triples, and 2 runs driven in. Full count.
We know how Kennedy loves that fastball, but we saw Ventura's fastball at 98, 97, 98 get raked that first game of this series. So they're going to be looking for that fastball today. I guarantee you that.
Still 3-2.
Ian Kennedy's had a very impressive first season for the Royals. If he can continue to do this for the next few years in his contract, they're going to be very pleased. The impressive thing about all of his pitches is the opponent's hitting just 217 on his fastball. He didn't get that. That's off the end.
And Dyson onto the track for the out.
Our forward Royals defense. Alcides Escobar, first Royal to play 162 games twice. He's solid. Talk to him before the game. Esky, what are you going to do in the offseason after a real nice season? Rest for a month and then get right back on the weights. He says he's going to get back in the gym, make sure that he's getting his sprints in. He wants to keep his speed. He said he'd like to steal more than the bases he stole this year, which is right at 16. He wants to get faster, he said. He's going to work at it. But what this guy brings is next year he'll be his free agent year. So you know what, that's good and bad. Good because the player's motivated to put up the best numbers.
That's hit well to right field, and Paulo is back, and it's off the fence, and Kipnis will slide into second base with a 1-out double. Continue.
Yeah, and he says that he had so much fun in his teammates the last 2 seasons that he's going to watch some of that postseason and see how he can learn from his opponents and watching the opponents out there so he can be better, and then they look forward to capturing another crown for the Royals fans. That was all from Escobar. He loved being here and loves it, and he says they're going to miss postseason this year, but they're going to bring it back.
And he has a tribute to Jose Fernandez on his cap today. Runner at second, 1 out to Francisco Lindor.
Off the end. Okay, so they're on his fastball. They just hadn't squared it up. Now Kipnis The only reason that ball didn't go out of the ballpark was because he got the top of the ball. It had topspin. Hit the top. I could tell on contact. And you could tell by listening to the sound and how they hit it, whether they got it good or not. Let's watch this now. He's going to try to sneak the high cheese by him. Now, good top hand. I mean, so much top hand that he missed hitting a homer. He got the top half of the ball. Ball had topspin instead of backspin. Backspin, or that's the spin that gets the homers for you. See very few topspin homers, although we do see them. These guys are strong.
Mike Napoli, who's driven over 100 runs this year, 101 for a career high, takes a fastball for a strike. One and one. A career season for Mike Napoli in his first year at the Indians. But in September and one day in October, he has hit 144. So he's really limping to the finish line. And Kennedy just made a perfect pitch. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
And he's been good. And Kennedy's been good against Napoli this year. Just only 2 hits out of 14 at bats, but both of those hits have been homers. I told you before, they're gunning for Kennedy's fastball.
Defensive swing, and he fouls it away.
Napoli, he's a veteran, he's played a long time now. He's had some great success with different organizations he's been to. And as long as I've seen him since his rookie season, I believe it was 07, he's always hit the ball for power and hit the ball majority to right field. But he's changed this season. He's become a pull hitter. He told me the reason is that my teammates need me to pull the ball more. And so he's going to. That's what he's been doing. That's why the defense is playing him like they are. Hits by direction this year, big time. For the first time this year, he's doing that. He's never done that before. But that'll tell you what kind of hitter he is. The fact that he can adjust, and you see the Royals defense. They got the 3 guys over here. All on that right or left side.
Morales to the Royals dugout, and it's on the roof. Now, when you say Napoli says his teammates need him to pull the ball more, are you saying that they need more home runs out of him than doubles to the gap in right center?
That's what he meant. And if we could do a breakdown of his homers, we'd show you more of them to left field. But you know, his first home run, me and Fizz were doing the call on the game in Detroit against Justin Verlander, the Verlander that threw 99 to 100. And I called as he hit 4 or 5 pitches and fouled him off. I said, look, this guy, there's his homers. That's right. That's what he said he needs. I said, Napoli, I'm dialing 8 on Nappy. And he hit him, took him deep to right center.
Another strikeout for Kennedy with his fastball. 143 strikeouts with that pitch. That's the most in the major leagues. And if they accomplish that, two things. Number one, they'll have 4 consecutive winning seasons for just the second time in team history. And they'll join the Indians and the Yankees as the only American League teams with a winning record in the last 4 seasons. And to do that, they'll have to beat a Royal nemesis, right-hander Josh Tomlin, who is 8-4 in his career against the Royals. He was right up there with the other Indians aces in the first half of the season, but in the second half he has fallen off, which included a brief trip to the bullpen. And Dyson jumps on the first pitch and hammers it to the fence in right field. On his way to second, helmet comes flying off, and he'll hold with a double. And Jarrod Dyson is finishing strong. He has an 8-game hitting streak.
And understanding himself, making adjustments, staying on top of the ball. The high fastball, they want him to pop that ball up. No more, no longer. His top hand's become dominant. He's hitting the ball down, and he's finding gaps. And when you have that kind of speed, that's productive not only for himself, but for the entire ball club. Fans love to watch him run the bases, too. There's nothing wrong with that.
Whit Merrifield takes a strike. Whit is 1 for 7 in this series with a walk and an RBI. Batting 1 tick under 300 since being called back 1 month ago today. And he lines that to left field, and Davis didn't see it. It got up in the sun. And the Royals begin the first inning with back-to-back doubles.
We've already talked about the hitter's top hand and how important it is on high fastballs. And this is what Merrifield did. He Tommy hawked it. That's right. He Tommy hawked that high fastball off a Cleveland Indian. May sound like it's a whatever. He Tommy hawked him. Top hand. Look at that, Rhino. You're right. Look at the sun. Look at the shadow. That sun is in your eyes. And if you don't catch it and the ball off the bat and you don't see it, you ain't gonna catch it. I don't know how to put that together, but
maybe
you know,
a Cleveland Indians pun.
Thank you.
Is that what you were going for?
That's right. Yeah. Get excited though with Whitley trading places with Dyson.
0-1 on Morales, and he is jumping on the first pitch. We just saw Eric Hosmer in the dugout signaling to Whit Merrifield at second base. Hosmer was not in the lineup yesterday. He is not in there today. Morales plays at first, and Salvador Perez will be the designated hitter. 1-1.
Tomlin cuts the fastball. Okay. He's got a curveball and a changeup. He's going to use that a little bit to make the fastball and the cutter look good. But you look up in the zone just like they're doing, because you can take that heater deep. And this is the only game that matters this year right now. Got him over.
Kipnis throws him out. Merrifield goes to third.
Productive out. It's exactly what he wanted to do. If he can't do any better. Going to make an out. Situation called for it. Get him to third with less than 2. Opportunities and percentage of scoring him are greater. How about Yan Gomes? Got to give it up for this young man. He's been injured. Had one of the most miserable seasons a player could have, as his team had one of the best seasons they've ever had, and he wasn't a part of it. But he got well enough, as he wanted to be so much a part of the postseason. Congratulations for him for working so hard to get well. Now, will it be enough for him to start in the playoffs? I don't know, but Terry Francona's giving him a nice look today. Glad to see him back.
Slider for a strike to Salvador Perez, who is hitting .247 with a career high 22 home runs. And when Josh Tomlin has nightmares, I would bet most of the time it involves Salvador Perez. He's ahead in the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Salvador Perez is hitting .577 against Tomlin. 15 hits, 9 of those are extra base hits, a home run and 8 doubles.
It's enough.
Naquin gets behind it. Merrifield tags and holds. So this time Tomlin gets Perez, and Merrifield's at third with 2 down.
Thought it might be enough, but Mike Jerschley told Whitley Merrifield, stay here. We got a good hitter coming up next. Stay here. It's a little too shallow. Naquin's got a good arm. Let's not risk it. And so the minute Whitley went back to the base, Jerschley gave him a knuckle bump. Said, good job. Way to listen to me. I personally would like to see him try to score. Since this is the last game of the season and everything's on the line for a winning season. That's just me personally.
Slider for strike 2. Paulo Orlando. Paulo is hitting .305. He can go 0 for 7 today and still finish the season at .300. Tried to sell Bill Miller, the home plate umpire, that it was up and in. And it's no balls and 2 strikes.
I don't get a chance to see Tomlin pitch other than the Royals, obviously, against the Royals. But when the starts I've seen him, he likes to throw high fastballs to this team because they're not the most powerful team. So he's going to take his chances on fly ball outs. There's another one. He's got immaculate control. This kid Tomlin, he's only walked 1.08 walks per 9 innings, the best in Major League Baseball. So he knows exactly where he's putting it. And he's like Chris Young. Doesn't throw hard, but he throws that high invisible ball right above the belt to make it tough enough to where guys can't square it up. He does a great job, Tomlin does. Curve.
Not a swing. Ed Hickox is the first base umpire. 1 and 2 on Paulo. He's finishing strong, hitting over .400 in his last 12 games. That'll be out of play. Gerard Dyson on Tomlin's first pitch, double to right with Merrifield, double to left. That scored Dyson. And now Merrifield's at third with 2 down.
You'd think that the Cleveland Indians defense would know that Paulo gets a majority of his hits up the middle, because you could fly a Goodyear blimp up the middle. They're giving it to him. 55 hits. And look at the hole up there. Look at that hole in the middle.
Fouled away again. Josh Tomlin has made 4 starts against the Royals before today. And in 3 of those 4 starts, he allowed just 1 earned run. Back to Tomlin. The Royals have an earned run against him in the very first inning. Merrifield is stranded at third. The Royals came out swinging. Dyson on Tomlin's first pitch, and then came home on Merrifield's double.
Keep that lead. Come on, fellas.
That'll make Whit Merrifield feel a little better as he drives in the first run. He was charged with an error in the Indians' 3-run 8th inning in yesterday's game, and the Indians ended up winning by 3 runs. Jose Ramirez takes a strike, finishing off a career season in just about every category. 1 ball, 1 strike, including 46 doubles. He had never hit more than 11 in a season, and now he's 2nd in the American League. Only David Ortiz has more. David Ortiz, 40 years old, has 48 doubles.
In a season that's never happened before for somebody his age in their last season.
Morales, nice play to his glove side and gets to the bag in front of Ramirez.
Great play again. Morales, talking with him before the game about his defense. He smiled, and Escobar was next to him. And I said, who's got better hands, you or Esky? He said, I do. And Escobar looked at him and just gave me a smirk, and he shook his head. You don't have better hands than me. But look at those. And if I'm not mistaken, and I could be, in his starts at first base, I don't think he's ever erred. Holtzy. And we saw him in right field once this year. Maybe twice. Was it 2 games, Rhino, wouldn't it?
Where do you make that nice running play? Was that Philadelphia?
Yeah, up against the wall early in the game. Turned the momentum back to the Royals.
1-1 on Lonnie Chisenhall.
And one of the reasons he loves playing baseball. No errors as a Royal at first base. Tester.
Now Alex is looking up into the sun and has no trouble. 2 outs. Here's Rajai Davis. He has a career high 12 home runs. He also leads the league in stolen bases, picking up his 43rd yesterday. That's fouled out of play. I brought this up in Cleveland, Hud. Davis is 35, so he'll become the oldest player to lead either league in stolen bases since 1998. So 18 years ago. 0-2 on Davis. And 18 years ago, Ricky Henderson, at age 39, had 66 stolen bases.
Crazy. But the years they all line up.
Escobar wants it and makes a play in front of Gordon. Well, Kennedy got a little bit of help from Morales at first base and has a 1-2-3 2nd inning. his team will win today, and he'll be doing some scoreboard watching. So will Terry Francona. He admitted that he'll be doing some scoreboard watching as the Indians, or the Red Sox, are at home. The Indians need them to lose. The Tigers are in Atlanta. The Indians need the Tigers to lose. That's a best case scenario for Cleveland. As Alex takes high, that would mean they would not have to go to Detroit and play a makeup game, and they would have home field advantage in the first round of the playoffs. That's best case scenario.
Absolutely love the rule that Major League Baseball made for this last game of the season. Every team's playing right now. That way there's no, I can pull this guy off and make it an unfair advantage.
Lindor, the shortstop, throwing from the second base position, and gets Alex Gordon one down in the second inning.
That just levels the playing field on the last day with everything at stake. Detroit down already 1-0.
And speaking of scoreboard watching, no score, Toronto at Boston, and then, as you pointed out, Hud, it is 1-0 Atlanta in the top of the second inning. Last year at Turner Field in Atlanta.
Be interesting to see the crowd. I bet it's close to sellout, maybe. You'd hope.
Fouled away by Escobar. If the Indians win and the Red Sox win, Cleveland has to go to Detroit. If the Indians lose and the Red Sox lose, the Indians have to go to Detroit. 1 ball, 1 strike on Escobar. In on his hands, and Ramirez makes a nice play on a short hop. 2 outs.
Fans, unforgettable games, undeniable greatness, and unstoppable drama. 2016 postseason begins October 4th. Go to MLB.com/postseason for a full schedule. Just a couple days away.
Look at that.
What? Now that's
Is that an Expos jersey?
Yeah, I think it is. Can't be a Royals jersey since I was never blessed and they were smart enough to never have me on their team.
But you played for just about everybody else, didn't you?
Only 6 teams.
Okay. 1-1 on Cuthbert. There you go. He's got it all covered. He has his Rex Hudler Expos jersey, his Royals cap with a Rally Mantis.
The only team I ever wore number 25 for. My preference, and you don't always get your preference when you join a team, because a star player or somebody usually has it. 10 was my favorite number.
2-2 on Cuthbert. Bat breaks in half, and Kipnis throws out Cuthbert. Tomlin gets 3 outs, all on the ground in a scoreless second inning. Whit Merrifield double in the first inning. What a day. Boy, we've had great weather the last 2 weeks. We were blessed with similar weather in Cleveland and Detroit on the last road trip, and we've had pretty much the same day this entire homestand against Minnesota and Cleveland.
Totally lucked out.
Tyler Naquin is wrapping up an impressive rookie season, batting at .299. No balls and 2 strikes. Naquin was the Indians' first-round pick in 2012 out of Texas A&M.
You know, he's been consistent enough this season that they'll be thinking about putting him, you know, leaving him in there for the postseason. .299. He wants to hit 300 in the worst way.
No official at bat there as Kennedy drills him on an 0-2 pitch. And Naquin is on to be in the top of the third.
That hurt, and he acted like it didn't hurt.
Here's a Lee Summit Mazda game break. Here's the game that the Indians and their fans are watching. Tigers at the Braves. And Freddie Freeman's sacrifice fly scores Nick Markakis. And the Braves have the early lead. 1-0 now, headed to the bottom of the second inning. Now for the Tigers, they need to win, and they need Baltimore and Toronto to lose, and the Tigers would need to beat the Indians tomorrow.
No.
Yan Gomes to the back of the Royals bullpen, and that's his first home run since coming back from the disabled list. He was supposed to be done for the year when he broke his wrist on a minor league rehab assignment. And just to prove to myself that I wasn't going crazy when he appeared in the game on Friday night, I went online and I saw several articles that said Gomes done for the year, done for the year, done for the year. But here he is, not only playing but an impressive swing.
Can't tell him that. That ball left the ballpark in about 3 seconds. Look at that. Solid contact. That was a no-doubter. Swung on, gone. And look at his teammates. They are thrilled for him. They need him. His power, his throwing out runner ability, catch and throw, signal calling. Let's listen.
We'll try and show you that again in just a moment. Carlos Santana down, no balls, 2 strikes. He flied out to deep right center field in the first inning. Dyson ran it down.
Look at him. They're embracing their guy. He's been there with these guys for a long time. He's part of Chisenhall and Kipnis. Brantley. Let's not forget Brantley, even though he's only good pitch there. Brantley, their star left fielder, all-star, just had 39 at-bats this year. But he's with them physically.
That was Kennedy's second strikeout. And here is Kipnis. He doubled his first time up. Oh, and 2. That home run allowed by Kennedy was his 33rd of the year. And that is the 4th most in the American League. But he has really cleaned that up in the second half of the season. And now Kipnis gets drilled on an 0-2 pitch. 2 hit batters, both on an 0-2 pitch. It was Naquin to begin the inning, and then Naquin scored on the Gomes home run.
He's trying to come inside on both hit batters and hit him in the same place. But see how Kipnis turned his back to the ball. That's what you want to do if you're a hitter.
Just to finish the thought, the home run by Gomes That is just the 7th home run allowed by Kennedy in his last 14 starts. So a lot of home runs over the course of the season, but not as much in the second half as he had in the first half. Breaking ball, strike to Francisco Lindor. He flied out to right field in the first inning. Kipnis takes off, and it's lifted to left. Kipnis does not know where the ball is. His third base coach is trying to get him back to first base, and the throw hit him. Otherwise, he is out. Kipnis had no clue where the ball was, and he is looking at Mike Sarbaugh, his third base coach, who was pointing for him to go back to first base. And I don't know if Kipnis is just having fun with Sarbaugh or if he's telling him, hey, tell me where the ball is, because he was pointing to left field.
Well, he looked at him. Look, watch this now. He's looking at him right there. And Sarbaugh was pointing him to first. So I don't know why he did that little, but they would have been doubled up had a ball not hit Kipnis. Morales was ready for the pick. Alex was dying to get another outfield assist.
So 2 down to Mike Napoli. So what would you want if you're Kipnis and you're looking at your third base coach? Do you want him to point where to go? Because Kipnis is like, you know, what was that? He's saying, hey, let me know.
No, he let him know.
And he's pointing up. He's pointing up to the sky.
He looked right at him, and the third base coach, Mike Sarbaugh, did his job.
He was pointing to first base, telling him where to go.
That's what you do whenever you get deked by the infield. It's Escobar and Merrifield did a good job pretending that they were going to field the ball, and that's what really hesitates the runner. He slows down and he's not sure where to pick it up, especially he didn't peek in. Tells me it was probably a straight steal.
Napoli swings at an 0-2 pitch and hits it foul into the crowd. So this is the 3rd time in the inning that Kennedy has been 0-2 on a hitter. He hit Naquin with an 0-2 pitch to begin the inning, and then he hit Kipnis with an 0-2 pitch 3 batters later.
For his 12th and 13th hit batter of the year, that's leads the Royal staff by far.
Down and away, 1-2. Fouled away. Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but perhaps Kipnis was telling Mike Sarbaugh, because he was using his hand to mimic a mouth. Maybe instead of just pointing to first base, he wanted Mike Sarbaugh to yell, get back to first base. But you and I saw the same thing. He was clearly pointing Kipnis back to where he needed to go.
Yeah, and with a crowd like this, there's no verbal. You can't hear the third base coach. So Kipnis is okay. They didn't get doubled up, but he's got to own that. He got deked by 2 really good middle infielders by the Royals, and credit them for that.
Still 2-2. Kennedy struck out Napoli with a fastball in the first inning. And for Napoli, that was his 193rd strikeout of the year. It's the 2nd most in the American League, and it's an Indians record. Lays off a slider, and it's 3-2. I don't know what Chris Davis has done today, but he has struck out 217 times for the Orioles.
Whew.
He has 1 today, so he has 218 to lead the league. Kipnis runs, And Napoli fouls it away again.
Kennedy keeps using that fastball. He trusts it. 3-2. He's challenging it. And Napoli, he's been on it, fouling several straight back.
Another foul ball.
I guarantee you, Kennedy drops a curveball on him right here, anywhere. He swings and misses and strikes him out. Let's see what Butera puts down. Got him in swing mode.
Running again, and it's hit high to left center field. And Dyson is there for the catch. That's the inning. Tyler Naquin was down 0-2. He got drilled with a pitch, and Yan Gomes made it hurt with a 2-run home run to give the Indians a lead. A Missouri sheriff. He was recently injured by gunfire in the line of duty. Deputy Carter is a hero to the people of Southwest Missouri, and he represents the best in law enforcement. He served as a school resource officer and has coached his kids in sports. He and his wife Julie are heavily involved in the children's program at their church. Joined today by their children, McKenna, Tyler, and Addison. Darren Carter sitting in the Buck O'Neil legacy seat at today's game.
Congratulations, Deputy Carter. Thank you for your service to us. And congratulations on being in that great Buck O'Neil seat.
That is up the right field line and foul off the bat of Drew Butera. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Drew Butera, one of many Royals with some career high numbers. Our Kubota power stats. Career highs in batting average and home runs. Almost half of his hits have been for extra bases. And he's done quite well against the Indians. And he just pokes it out into right field for a leadoff single. Butera has started all 3 games of the series behind the plate.
This is just what you do on a breaking ball. Shorten up your swing and just dump it out there to right. Beautiful stroke. Controlled his body, didn't get too far out front, and he trusted his hands.
Dyson, I think, was trying to bunt for a hit. He swung at the first pitch thrown by Tomlin in the first inning and doubled to right, and then Merrifield doubled him home. And then Tomlin set down 6 in a row before Butera's single to begin the 3rd inning. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Dyson has established a new career high this year in games started. He has a career high 8 triples. Chop to first. Santana is going to go down to second base. And the Indians almost turned a double play with Dyson running. Butera is out at second. Dyson's at first with 1 down.
I think the Royals will be happy with trading places. Butera's out. Dyson at first with a chance to steal second.
Merrifield double to left in the first inning. Slider is low for ball 1. Witt is one of just 3 rookies to play 5 different positions this year. The other 2 were Sean O'Malley of the Mariners and Taylor Motter of the Tampa Bay Rays. And as we shared with you the other night, he's also one of 3 Royals rookies all time to play 5 different positions. Bob Oliver, who was on the original Royals team, and Shane Halter, who accomplished that back in 1997. Dyson runs and Merrifield fouls it away. Shane Halter, by the way, went on to play for the Tigers and was allowed to play all 9 positions in 1 game.
Good for him, and good for his manager. That's a gift from a manager to a guy who has that type of athletic ability.
Two and one. Dyson's back in time. We remind you to vote for the Royals Player of the Month at one of the 7 Rally House locations in the KC metro area. All participants will be entered to win a majestic prize pack. Another throw to first.
Tomlin, quick feet. He's got a good move. Dyson just can't get as big a lead as he'd like to.
Three and one.
It's awfully quick home too. He's making it tough on Gerard.
He might be running here with the count 3 balls 1 strike. He is, and Merrifield lines it to center, sinking on Naquin. Naquin put his glove up, trying to convince Dyson that he was going to catch it. Dyson did hesitate for a moment, but he still gets to third.
2-hit Witt, back at it again. Hit it off the end of the bat. Naquin, nice job trying to deke Gerard Dyson by putting his glove up that he's going to make the catch. Right off the end of the bat. Watch Naquin in center field. Put that glove up. Sometimes that'll freeze the runner and keep him from getting into scoring or into third base with less than 2 outs.
First and third, 1 out for Kendrys Morales. Rounds that to the camera well over on the first base side. Morales tied the Royals record, 30 RBIs in September. That was also the most RBIs in the American League in September. The Royals record he shares with Al Cowens in '77 and Jeff King in '97. 30 driven in September. 1 ball 1 strike. He hit .333. He hit 8 home runs, and he had a slugging percentage over .600.
Got to be good for Royals Player of the Month again. And now he's keeping an eye on Whitley because this is a good opportunity for Whitley to steal, but also if he can successfully steal, stay out of the double play even if Morales makes contact, because he has grounded into 19 double plays this year. So Ned's going to want to move Merrifield over there at first base and stay out of that double play.
A little bit outside. 2 balls 1 strike. On the ground to Santana. Out at second, Lindor with Tomlin covering. And the Indians turn a 3-6-1 inning-ending double play.
Leading the Royals here at Kauffman Stadium. Joel Goldberg down by the Royals dugout, and general manager Dayton Moore was on Hy-Vee Royals Live today obviously an abundance of third basemen. Mike Moustakas back next year. Hunter Dozier could be in the mix. And he said that, you know, in Hunter's case, he's going to obviously have to work his way onto the team and earn that spot. And then Cheslor Cuthbert, some interesting news regarding Cheslor.
Cuthbert is out of options. He's going to go to an instructional league. He's going to work at second base. Not that we're going to make him a second baseman, but we want that versatility. We want to be able to utilize, you know, all of his skills any way Ned deems necessary. So he'll continue to work, you know, at different positions.
So the season ending for so many of these guys today. Others will go off during the offseason and play some winter ball. Kendrys Morales, I think he'll take a break too. But in the case of Cheslor Cuthbert, right off tomorrow, he will head to Arizona for instructs. And so I think that's interesting there, guys, to maybe get a little peek into the future. Things can change, but with Moustakas back, maybe some versatility in the future for young Cheslor Cuthbert.
It'll be also interesting to see what the Royals do a designated hitter next year. 2-2 on Jose Ramirez. Remember, before they signed Kendrys Morales, there was some talk about not signing a designated hitter and just rotate guys through that position. Take some of the strain off of Salvador Perez, let him DH from time to time. Maybe Eric Hosmer occasionally, Mike Moustakas occasionally. So will they try to re-sign Morales? Will they look for another designated hitter, or with 2 third basemen next year with Moustakas and Cuthbert? And if Cuthbert can play a little second base, and you've got Merrifield out there, you've got Mondesi.
You know, it's worked.
Will that be a rotating position?
It's worked before. It's worked for other teams, and not to say it won't work. But keep in mind, ooh, ball took a little hop on it. Keep in mind, it's easy for us to spend the owner's money. We love talking about, well, just re-sign him. But, you know, Morales has had a great season. There's going to be some other bidders out there for him. So we just have to weigh that out and see how it plays out. I'm sure Morales would like to stay.
Leadoff man on for Lonnie Chisenhall. He flied out to left field in the second inning. In addition to several impressive numbers offensively, Jose Ramirez has also stolen 22 bases this year. Dyson is there, had to shade his eyes with his glove. 1 out, and Ramirez is back to first. A reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, look forward to Miller Time later in today's game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Well, regardless whether Cleveland wins or loses today, Terry Francona can be happy because this team is playing at a high caliber right now. Watching yesterday's game was impressive to see them playing with a sense of urgency, attacking. They got a lot of tools on this team, but their hitters were competing. You know, this is a team that's peaking at the right time. Now with Yan Gomes hitting a 2-run homer today, that's the biggest home run really for Gomes this year, and maybe for Cleveland, just to get the confidence back in him.
Paulo makes a play in right field, and they're 2 down. Terry Francona, he was part of ending that long drought in Boston when they won the World Series in 2004 with him at manager, and then again 2007, our Toyota League leaders. Terry Francona has had 12 consecutive seasons with a winning record. That is the only active streak that long, and it's the 5th longest in Major League history.
Yeah, very impressive, and there's a pretty good chance he could be manager of the year in the American League, what he's done. I look at that list, and I can't help but be proud myself, having played for 3 out of 5 of those guys. Played for Francona. We lost 94 games in his first year as a manager in Philly. I was on his team. And I asked him before the game what he learned from that season, and he said loyalty. I learned about loyalty. When you're a skipper, you know, you got to trust your coaches and people that are in place, and he really learned that that was a big trait for him as he went on with his great managerial career. I think continuing his good health and everything that he continues to manage, he could be a Hall of Fame manager with some of those other guys that are in there.
And you also played for Earl Weaver and Joe Torre.
I did. I was very fortunate. You know, players, you can't control where you go, but for me, just being in the right place at the right time, getting to play for those guys was a blessing.
Alex comes in and just inside the line takes care of Tyler Naquin. The Indians are scoreless in the fourth. They lead 2-1. Two runs on 3 hits. Yan Gomes hit a 2-run home run in the top of the 3rd inning. All in all, a good year. The Royals took some heat for the money they spent to bring Ian Kennedy to Kansas City. The Royals, and Dayton Moore admitted this at FanFest, they've had their eye on Ian Kennedy for many years and tried to acquire him a couple of times in trades. But you look at where he ranks in several categories in the American League. His first season in KC was a success. Salvi to center field, down for a base hit. Another hit for him against Josh Tomlin. That makes him 16 for 28. And the Royals have the leadoff man on.
Asked Salvi if he was in the lineup today when I was in the locker room, and he says yes. And I said, well, you got some pretty good numbers off Tomlin. And he goes, para calle today. That's home run. I'm going to get him.
Well, he's done it once before to go along with 8 doubles. So 571. His batting average has gone down today against Tomlin by going 1 for 2. Paulo tried to bunt. Grounded back to Tomlin in the 1st inning.
Didn't quite get the bat head out in front. Had he, Ramirez was playing back and he bunted it to the 3rd baseman, probably would have gotten a base hit. That bunting, you got to make sure that bat's out in front. Get that ball down.
Hit hard, but never fair. 0-2. Last year, the Royals set an attendance record, and this year they will finish 2nd all time. And we also want to thank all of you watching on Fox Sports Kansas City. The Royals, for the 2nd year in a row, have the best local television ratings in Major League Baseball. As Tomlin strikes out Paulo Orlando, that's his first strikeout. And when the Royals had the best ratings last year, those were the highest ratings in 12 years. And there you go, 2.5+ million coming to watch the Royals at Kauffman Stadium this year.
Sure is great, and what a real home field advantage it is for the players. They love it. They feed off of the energy. These fans are into it, and they should be, because the team is a fun and exciting team to watch.
Alex looks at a strike, and we'll never forget that day. You know what's great about that day, not just because of what a happy day it was, what a joyous celebration it was, as Alex hits it to left field and Davis right in front of the track makes a play. What was great about that day visually is, you know, we hear about attendance numbers and we hear about television ratings and we hear about radio ratings, but you know, the most we're ever going to see at Kauffman Stadium is 40,000, maybe a little over 40,000. That was the first time many of us on the stage got to look out and see how enormous the Royals following was. I mean, it was the first time, and that wasn't everybody, but that was most of them, to just look out there and say, wow. Because after a while, you know, you come to the ballpark and you expect to see 35, 39,000. And you know, it just becomes a blur after a while. You just come to expect it. But to stand on the stage and see all those people, I mean, you could tell even the players, it really hit them what a big deal this is to a lot of people.
No doubt about it. And you know, you mentioned that, but you showed the crowd. They showed the crowd. That was November 3rd, and it was weather just like today.
Ramirez catches a line drive off the bat of Alcides Escobar. Salvador Perez opens the inning with a leadoff single. He is stranded at first. And at the end of 4, the Indians lead 2-1. It's brought to you by Dodge. Visit Dodge.com or your local dealer today. 2-1 Indians. Royals 2 batters into the first inning took a 1-0 lead. Back-to-back doubles from Dyson and Merrifield, and then Yan Gomes hit a 2-run home run against Ian Kennedy in the 3rd, and Gomes will lead off the 5th. It was his 9th home run of the year. He's hitting 168. The most serious injury for Gomes was a shoulder injury back in the middle of July. He was running up the first base line and fell on his right shoulder, his throwing shoulder. And then, as we pointed out earlier, as he was rehabbing and trying to get back, In late September, he was hit by a pitch in a minor league playoff game and broke his wrist. And he was expected to be done for the year. Cuthbert makes a play at third, and Gomes is 1 for 2.
Well, this hit gave him extreme confidence in his wrist. It's healed, his shoulder. To be able to drive a ball to the ballpark in 3 seconds takes a lot. Quick, bat speed, short to the ball. Caught it just right. And I couldn't help but look as he was running the bases down to his teammates in their dugout. And they were jumping up and down. Not just for the go-ahead homer, but for him. And how hard he's worked to get back. And they're all looking at each other saying, yeah, that's just another weapon we got for postseason.
Santana pulls it to Morales. And Carlos Santana is 0 for 3.
Fans looking for a holiday gift for your favorite Royals fan? How about a championship legacy brick? It's the perfect gift. Create a personalized message that includes the 2015 World Series champions logo, and then your brick will be installed in the ground outside of stadium gates. Place your order early, as a World Series Royals ornament is included with your purchase while supplies last. A portion of the proceeds of the brick program go back to support Royals charities. So to order yours, go to royals.com/bricks or call 877 KCR bricks.
Is that KCR bricks?
Yes, it is. It is not KER bricks.
Did anyone check to see what is at 877 Kerr bricks? Did anyone look that up?
No, but
No?
what I did hear is that they had an extreme amount of orders for bricks after that night. And that's all that matters. That's what we want. More money for charity.
That's right. 2-1 on Kipnis. He has doubled and he's been hit by a pitch. Out to left field, and Alex is there, and that's the inning. Kennedy has retired the last 6 and 8 of the last 9.
We talk about the devoted and the faithful. Here's their man. 2 down, bases empty, first inning, no score. Ruthven back, and that's golf down the right field line. Back goes McBride, away back, it's gone.
Vin Scully calling that game on CBS Radio, the 1980 World Series. 67 years as the voice of the Dodgers, and George Brett, listen to him. growing up in El Segundo, California. Going back to 1950. You know, Vince Scully did 8 years in Brooklyn before the Dodgers moved to Los Angeles back in 1958. Well hit, left center field, deep, and off the top of the wall and gone. Cheslor Cuthbert ties it in the bottom of the 5th inning with his 12th of the year.
On contact, he had enough height on the ball, but I wasn't sure it was going to be close. Tyler Naquin, the center fielder of Cleveland, he started jogging that way, and he was just looking up, hoping to play it off the wall, and he almost did, but Cheslor's going right today. He's living right, because that ball didn't hit the top of the wall and stay in for a double. It bounced over. Gave himself a nice little parting gift.
And Josh Tomlin has given up some home runs this year. That was his 36th. Two balls and no strikes on Drew Butera.
You know, in a lot of parks, that's 10, 15 rows deep. It's such a long way to hit a home run here at the K left center field.
Naquin backs up, pivots, looks into the sun, and finds it. 1 out.
Let's watch Cuthbert now. That shadow is going to be come into play, make it more difficult to hit, because watch the ball, it turns into the shadow, but he stayed on it and got the backspin. Talked about the backspin, how important it is to spin that ball off the bat and try to hit that bottom half if you can. And it carried just enough. Nice catch by the fan.
Dyson pulls it just foul outside of first.
But you know, just by sitting in the stands behind the screen, it looks like a long way, but until you actually sit out there like we did, we got to broadcast a game a couple of years ago out there, and it was amazing. You're like, wow, man, how do they do it? It's so far. Good job, Cheslor. Way to muscle up.
1-1 on Dyson. He doubled leading off the first inning and scored on a Merrifield double. He is 1 for 2 and will finish the season with an 8-game hitting streak. Now come up and get Dyson. He is moving like a male who may have been hit by a foul ball. Yep. So he's got an 8-game hitting streak, and that to finish the season with.
Unpleasant.
Kipnis to the middle and gets Dyson, and there are 2 down. Well, right before the Cheslor Cuthbert home run, we showed you a home run by George Brett in the 1980 World Series, called by Vince Scully on CBS radio. Panera takes us around the league, and 2 broadcasting legends will hang up the microphone today. Vince Scully, 67 years with the Dodgers. Bill Brown with the Astros, 30 years on radio and television, a gentleman. And Dick Enberg, who won the Ford Frick Award last year. The same award that Denny Matthews won in 2007. Dick Enberg known more for his work nationally, but broadcasted several years with the California Angels and most recently the San Diego Padres. Whit Merrifield's out for the first time as he grounds to third. The Royals tie it. Cheslor Cuthbert, it's his 12th home run of the year, and we are tied at 2 to the 6th inning. The game at 2 with his 12th home run of the year. And now the Indians have the middle of the order coming up against Ian Kennedy. He's allowed a 2-run home run to Yan Gomes. So just 2 runs, 3 hits in his first 5 innings. He has set down the last 6, and 8 of the last 9 he has gotten Lindor on 2 fly balls. Changeup fades outside. Lindor has flied to right and flied to left. Outside, 2-0. To center field and deep, very deep, and Dyson, Willie Mays style, with his back to the infield. I think he made it a little more difficult than a typical over-the-head catch, because he made the catch up above his head.
Yeah, you're right. That's a more difficult glove position. But he took a great route. Look at him, straight back on the ball. Most difficult play. Then at the last minute, he was able to catch it and judge it. I can't tell you how hard that play is. And he made it look easy. Wow, great play. Thought it might have had a chance even off the bat. It sounded so well. Good little thin air, although there is a slight breeze blowing in. Might have held it up a little. Great play. He made that look easy.
I'm sure I have, but I'm trying to think of the last time I've seen a center fielder make a catch like that. I mean, we've seen center fielders make over-the-head catches, but glove up above the head.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, usually it's a catch that's about chest high or waist high with the hands out in front and the palms up.
Well, Dyson is plus 18 in defensive runs saved. That's tied for 7th best among all major league outfielders. Look at this now. Look at the neck. He's bending up. He's able to see that ball. And there's a lot of people that came and bend their neck backwards like that to see it. So you have to be able to, on the run, adjust himself and go. Good pitch by Kennedy. Oh man, that was a beauty. Boy, he just snuck that right by Napoli. Looked like to me Kennedy dropped his arm angle down there. Don't see that very often. He never gets away from his mechanics. His mechanics are fluid and sound.
0-1 on Jose Ramirez. Ramirez has hit the ball in the nose twice to the right side of the infield. He grounded out hard to Morales at first in the 2nd inning. Then he singled through the right side in the 4th. Great spot. Unhittable spot. Two and two. Line caught by Escobar. 2 good defensive plays for Ian Kennedy. Dyson in center field and Escobar at short.
Had him played just right.
He has taken over behind the plate for Yan Gomes, who has hit a 2-run home run and lined out to third. And we're hearing that is nothing more than just getting Jimenez into the game. Nothing wrong with Yan Gomes as Morales lines out to Naquin in center field. And there's one down in the 6th inning.
Yeah, you know, I think Francona's just easing him in.
Our final Sonic Slam inning of the year. And our contestant is Bill Langford from Lathrop, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run out of the park in this inning, Bill wins $1,300. If the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Bill wins $25 grand from Sonic and the Royals. Salvi is flied to center and singled to center, dropping his career batting average against Josh Tomlin from .577 to .571. No balls, 2 strikes.
Shame on Perez. Come on. No, that's unbelievable. Whenever you're hitting like that off of the opponent. Ooh, got it. 3 pitches. Didn't waste any time there. Royals fans, mark your calendar for the 2017 Fan Fest presented by Commerce Bank on Friday, January 27th and Saturday the 28th at the Kansas City Convention Center. This family-friendly event will feature autograph sessions with current and former Royals, interactive games for all ages, Royals merchandise, appearances by Slugger, and much more. For more information and to purchase your tickets, go to royals.com/fanfest.
Paulo is grounded back to the mound and he is struck out. Tomlin has struck out 2. To left center field, and Davis with his good speed closes in on it, and that's the inning. A quick inning for Tomlin. So we head to the 7th in a 2-2 tie. Seventh inning, and the Indians are doing some scoreboard watching, so we'll do the same. Lee Summit Mazda game break. The Baltimore Orioles have a 5-1 lead over the Yankees in the top of the 7th inning. That was a 2-run home run from Matt Wieters off of Juan Cessa. So Baltimore and Toronto tied for the wild card lead. Toronto leads at Boston 1-0 in the bottom of the 5th inning. And Detroit is still trailing in Atlanta 1-0 in the top of the 6th. Lonnie Chisenhall has flied to left and flied to center. That was Luis Sessa, whom Matt Wieters hit the home run against.
Yeah, and in that Atlanta-Detroit game, Julio Teheran is pitching for them and for the Braves, and Verlander for the Tigers, and that's a nail biter.
Cuthbert throws out Chisenhall. He's 0 for 3. Daniel Nava has taken over at first base for Kendrys Morales, and Ian Kennedy has set down 10 in a row. Here's our sprint trivia question, our last one of the season, Hud. Name the 4 shortstops to start in 162 games in a season 2 times or more since 1969.
Wow.
Up the line and foul.
Oof, that's going to be a tough one. Al Broughton was right.
So let's see it again.
I went in the truck today and he goes, "Good luck on the question today, Hud." I said, "All right, bring it."
Going for the jugular.
That's right.
Last game of the season. 4 shortstops to start all 162 games 2 or more times since the first year of the Royals. Here's one of them right here. So 3 more.
How about Jimmy Rollins?
How about Cal Ripken?
Okay, that's in. That's a lock.
Jimmy Rollins has played in 162 games, but only once.
Okay, sorry.
That's who I would have guessed.
Well, 69.
Omar Vizquel. No.
Miguel Tejada.
Hud.
Do you like that guess?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's correct.
Ooh.
1 left.
Okay.
Davis has popped to short and flied out to right.
And that's impressive. I mean, it's hard to believe. A shortstop is the most difficult position on the diamond, outside of maybe catcher. Because you have to make all the plays to your left and right coming in. You have to throw from the left side of the infield. And to do it every single day, man, that's unheard of.
2 down. 11 in a row. Set down by Kennedy. Should we get this one, or is this a? It's tough. Holtze says it's tough. Now, if Holtze says it's tough.
Ozzie Smith. Not even the Wizard did it. Didn't do it.
Broken bat. And Ian Kennedy has set down 12 in a row. 3 ground ball outs in the top of the 7th inning. Indians are tied at 2. On this date in baseball history, back in 1936, the New York Yankees beat the New York Giants 18-4 in Game 2 of the World Series. An 8-year-old boy was walking home from grammar school in New York City, and he saw the score on a chalkboard in a laundromat. And he felt so bad for the Giants that he decided that day that he was going to become a fan of the New York Giants. And he absolutely fell in love with baseball. And soon after that, he dreamed of being a major league announcer. And 14 years later, he joined the Brooklyn Dodgers broadcast team in 1950 at the age of 22. Vin Scully, my hero growing up in Los Angeles, right now is calling his last Dodger game after 67 years. And wouldn't you know it, the team that the Dodgers are playing today, 80 years later to the day, the Giants in San Francisco. And if Vin were here right now, he'd say, enough about me, let's get back to the game.
Wow. Great tribute, Rhino. Congratulations, Vin. And man, were the people blessed to hear your calls of the grand game. Tomlin staying in, and there's the great Vin Scully, and I think it's wonderful that he would finish at AT&T Park in San Francisco. And you know, those Giant fans, as much as that rivalry is, they appreciate Vin Scully. Great job, Rhino. That was a beautiful tribute you just did to him.
Well, and I want to thank our crew, especially our producer Joe Vencius, for allowing me to indulge myself today. If you haven't watched the Dodgers on TV, and if you watched the beginning of our broadcast, Vin Scully would come on the air, and it'll be really strange next year not being able to watch him online. But he would come on every day, didn't matter what day of the week it was. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Tuesday evening, Wednesday afternoon, Sunday afternoon to you, wherever you may be. And I mean, that is just a voice burned in my memory from my childhood. And what I just did right there was tearing a page out of Vin's book. In the middle of every game, he would do on this date in Dodgers history, and would remember a game. And I mean, he goes back to 1950. Incredible. So you've got several generations of Dodger fans who have enjoyed Vin Scully, and right now his Dodgers are inching closer and closer to being swept by the Giants. This will be his final game. He said no matter what the Dodgers do in the postseason, this will be it. This will be the final bow, and felt like it was timely because 80 years to the day he became a Giants fan. His team is playing the Giants, and Alex is 0 for 3, 1 down. But Dave Holtzman, our stats producer, looked up some of the numbers. 10,645 games for the Dodgers. He saw 975 Dodger players, one of them being my father.
Wow.
He saw 626 wins against the Giants. He may not see one this weekend. The Dodgers won the World Series 6 times when he was there, and his career spanned 12 United States presidents.
Wow.
And if somebody began their broadcasting career today to match Vin Scully, their career would end in 2083.
Man, that's just incredible. You know, Cal Ripken's consecutive game streak will never be broken, and neither will that. 20 no-hitters. And my partner, our partner, Steve Fiziak, he's been in the business for a long time, and he's never called one no-hitter.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Vin has just got magic.
Escobar is down on strikes, and we played a radio call of Vin Scully's on a George Brett home run earlier today. Here's one from the 1989 All-Star game when he was in the booth with President Ronald Reagan.
I don't know if there's ever been anyone doing it.
Hey. He's remarkable, and look at that one. Bo Jackson says hello. Almost hit it out of state.
That was a leadoff home run in the All-Star game for Bo Jackson on the national stage. Back when, if you wanted to see Bo Jackson play baseball, you know, you'd have to wait for a game of the week or an All-Star game and hit that home run against Rick Russell
in Angel Stadium. And you know, not many guys go up there on that batter's eye and hit that ball up there. That's a long way, and for him to do that to the opposite field was really special.
On the ground to Kipnis at second base. Cuthbert is out, and so are the Royals in the bottom of the 7th inning. And now Josh Tomlin has retired 9 in a row. To the top of the 8th inning. Over 29,000 are here today. Great day to be outside in Kansas City. We had 73 perfect degrees at first pitch. And now a pitcher's duel is Ian Kennedy, who only gave up a 2-run home run back in the 3rd inning, has set down 12 in a row. And Josh Tomlin, who's only given up 2 runs, he's retired 9 in a row. And this is Coco Crisp pinch hitting for Chris Jimenez, and it's Alcides Escobar into foul ground to make the play. 1 pitch, 1 out, and Kennedy's retired 13 in a row.
Well, we're seeing the shadow creep in. We're not used to seeing 2 o'clock starts here at the K, so that's one of the reasons, not taking away from any of these 2 starting pitchers who are pitching a great game today. But it's a little bit more difficult to pick it up, especially when the pitcher's in the bright sunlight, the release point, the ball looks good, and then it goes right to, not dark, but it takes a little bit of the shine off of that ball. So it can be a little bit tougher.
Ball 1 to Carlos Santana. He is 0 for 3 with a strikeout.
But if there's some clouds out, like there's some really nice clouds out there right now, that really helps the hitter.
Two and one on Santana. Kennedy has not walked a batter today. He did hit 2 batters, and coincidentally both on 0-2 pitches in the 3rd inning. One of them was before the Gomes home run. Curveball got away from him. 3 balls and 1 strike. And there's the first walk allowed by Ian Kennedy.
Fans, don't forget to order the perfect holiday gift for your favorite Royals fan, a championship legacy brick. Create the personalized message that includes the 2015 World Series championship logo, and then your brick will be installed in the ground outside of the stadium gates. Place your early order as World Series Royals ornament will be included in your purchase. While supplies last, a portion of the proceeds of the brick program go back to support Royals charities. To order yours, go to royals.com/bricks or call 877 KCR Bricks.
Base hit into the right field corner. Santana to third. He'll be held there. And Kipnis has a double, his second double of the day. So Kennedy, after setting down 13 in a row, going back to the fourth inning, has allowed a 1-out walk followed by a double.
Changeup that stayed up allowed Kipnis to get out in front of it. Ball kicked right up to Paulo in right field, so there's no bobble or anything out there. And second and third with just 1 out.
Dave Island's out there to have a chat and to allow the bullpen to catch up. Joakim Soria just in the early stages of warming up. That is just the 4th hit for the Indians today.
Kennedy's done a great job of mixing all of his pitches. You know, he's been going fastball heavy like he usually does, but he's put in the right spot. Only Yan Gomes touched him up.
Oh, and 1 on Francisco Lindor, and Kennedy could use a strikeout, an infield pop-up, or maybe a ground ball right at somebody. And Lindor is flied out to each of the Royals outfielders today. In the air to right field, and Paulo trying to run through it. He will heave it to the plate. A run scores, and Kipnis goes to third. And Francisco Lindor has now driven in 31 runs against the Royals in his 29 career games.
Kennedy beat him, but not enough. Got it in on him. He wasn't able to get the barrel out there. And going to throw him out.
Napoli takes ball 1. He's 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Kennedy has thrown 103 pitches. He goes back to the windup with Kipnis at third. 1 ball, 1 strike. So Kennedy, who's had really an outstanding game today with his control, has been bitten twice by a lack of control. He's only given up 4 hits in 7 2/3 innings. He's only walked 1 all day, but wouldn't you know it, that walk turned into a run. He has hit 2 batters, and 1 of those turned into a run. Still 1-2. Two balls, 2 strikes. A game the Indians are keeping a close eye on, and Aaron Sanchez is not allowed a hit
against that team
in that ballpark.
Oh.
Well, right now, if you're an Indians fan, you've got Cleveland in front. You've got Boston trailing. And you've got Detroit trailing. That's the best case scenario for them today. 3-2.
So most likely be it for Kennedy, unless he can talk his way into coming back out again.
And now 2 walks in the inning, and Soria should be ready to go. He has thrown 110 pitches, and that'll be it. Ian Kennedy in his first year with the Royals. 10th in the league in strikeouts, 14th in the league in ERA, 10th in opponent's batting average, and had the most strikeouts in baseball with his fastball.
Impressive.
Pretty darn good.
Better believe it. Royals fans appreciate it.
For Ian Kennedy. He departs with the Royals down and got a nice ovation from 29,475, and there's the total. Over 2.5 million coming to Kauffman Stadium this year to watch the Royals. 2 years ago the team record was 2.4. The Royals went to 2.7 last year, and now 2,557,622. Second highest total in Royals history. Joakim Soria 1-1 on Jose Ramirez with runners at first and third.
And we say thank you.
Two and one on Ramirez. 1 for 3, but his 2 outs, a shot on the ground to Morales when he was at first, and a line out to Escobar at short. So 1 for 3 with 3 good swings. Changeup. 2-2.
Fastball, slider, curve change. Flip that slow curveball up there sometimes, but this hitter here is so dangerous. He can hit any pitch from anybody that throws it. As good as he is now.
Soria last pitched on Wednesday and got the win, pitching a scoreless 8th. Kipnis is at third. Napoli's at first. And Ramirez strikes out. Butera down to first. The strikeout is complete. Soria gets the job done. The Indians take the lead on the Lindor sac fly, scoring Santana. Eighth inning, Josh Tomlin will stay out there on the mound for the Indians. There's a lot to process this offseason. Looking forward to 2017, and certainly something that's going to come up quite a bit is the Royals and the disabled list this year. Our University of Kansas hospital injury report. Lorenzo Cain will miss 58 games. Wade Davis 37 on the disabled list twice. Alex Gordon missed 29. Luke Hochevar with surgery 65. And Mike Moustakas 119 games. So what will this team look like, and how will they play next year if they get full seasons out of those guys, provided they bring Luke Hochevar back, which I'm sure the Royals would love to do, and Luke would love to return. This is the only organization he's known.
There's a lot of games missed by a lot of key players.
One and two on Butera. He is singled and flied out to center field. Now Roberto Perez is behind the plate as Coco Crisp hit for Jimenez in the top of the eighth. Just 87 pitches for Tomlin after his first 4 in this 8th inning. Off the end of the bat, Tomlin can't get it, but he'll keep running to the bag, and Santana underhands in time. 1 away, and Tomlin has set down 10 straight.
Our great partners that do pre and post game show and a lot of in-game hits. Joel and Monty had a great opportunity to sit down with Dayton before the game on the injuries that his team has experienced.
I like the way we persevered. I like the fact that, you know, we didn't blame one another, and we didn't, you know, call for scapegoats. And there's enough responsibility to go around when a team doesn't do well, and including myself, and most importantly myself. So we reflect in a positive way, and you know, we just look to move forward, and can't wait for spring training to start.
So there you have it. I love that. Very humble, told the truth. You know, accepted the blame if there is any blame. I don't think there's blame. Hey, look, this guy's one of the greatest general managers there are in baseball. To be able to put a World Series team in 10 years, Rhino, there's no complaints.
Yeah. And yet, you know,
there is some focus. There's not a big focus, but there are things that the Royals would like to improve upon next year. I had a chance to, as we do every week on radio, talk to Dayton Moore, and he said he hopes that the offense will be a little more consistent next year. I mean, there were several players who reached career highs in different categories, and hopes that that will lead to a more consistent offense. I guess less of a peak and valley type of offense next year, highs and lows.
Yeah, and especially wins and losses. Remember that? They'd win some and they'd lose some. I mean, we hadn't seen that in the last few years, and the inconsistency. But Ned'll be back. Most of the guys are all signed, and I'm sure they'll make some impressive ads like Dayton always does. Complimentary ads.
And what will we get from Danny Duffy in a full season in the rotation with Ian Kennedy, Yordano Ventura? What step will Yordano Ventura take next year?
Well, Yordano Ventura has not had a career year yet, and I believe that it's coming. And it could be next year, and that would be a beautiful thing.
Jason Vargas. Andrew Miller is going to pitch in 3 straight games for the first time this year, and for the first time since 2014. And Terry Francona got 1 out in the inning, so he's trying to reduce the number of pitches that Miller's going to have to make. And Billy Burns batting for Gerard Dyson fouls it away, 0-1.
And I can tell you, this is going to be a tough comeback for the Royals today if they're going to do it. They're going to have to do it against one of the best pitchers in baseball. Andrew Miller, 94 to 97, cutting, sinking fastball. Backdoors it. It's firm with a curve change.
And he has the advantage of pitching in the shadows with the backdrop in the bright sunlight.
That's right.
0-2 on Billy Burns. We just showed you Luke Hochevar. Hochevar and Andrew Miller were in the same draft, both drafted in the first round. Some thought the Royals would take Miller. Both got to the big leagues very quickly. Both struggled as starters. And both, I think, it's not a stretch to put them in the elite class of American League relievers, as Burns is down on strikes and there's 2 down in the 8th inning. Luke was the first overall pick. Miller was taken by the Tigers and had struggled so much, not just physically but emotionally, that at one point the Tigers sent him back to A-ball just to clear his head.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how pitchers especially evolve. A position player, he's going to play usually one position, maybe 2, but pitchers, from starter to reliever, I think they've done really well in their relief roles now. No problem that inning.
Faces 2 and retires 2. And the Royals do not have a hit since Cuthbert tied the game back in the 5th inning. 3-2 Cleveland to the 9th.
Kansas City area Chevy dealers. Visit us for great prices on the all-new 2016 Malibu. By Panera Bread, food as it should be, with 24 Kansas City Metro locations. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors, right stuff, low price, every day.
And a beautiful day in Kansas City. Mostly sunny, temperatures in the mid-70s as we approach the 9th inning. 3-2 Indians. Wade Davis comes on with the Royals down by 1. They'll get the 6, 7, and 8 hitters. Beginning with Lonnie Chisenhall. Popped up. Escobar with his glove in front of his eyes. He makes a play. Chisenhall is 0 for 4. Heskey, the subject of our sprint trivia question today. He is one of 4 shortstops now, going back to 1969, to start 162 games 2 or more times. And we have Heskey, Cal Ripken, Miguel Tejada, and one more. As Davis takes outside, are we ready for hints?
American League. And he did it. He did it. Oh. Tony Fernandez.
North of the border was the clue, so yeah. Tony Batista. Toronto Blue Jays. 2-1 on Davis. He's 0 for 3. The clue we have from Dave Holtzman is Italian food. Oh, Jim Pizza. No? Okay. Steve Ravioli? No. Italian food. Pista. Marinara.
Ah.
Oh.
Oh, Alfredo Griffin. What the heck? Way to go. Got enough clues there. Thank you, Holtzy. Joe Vincius. Way to go. That was tough. Al Broughton. Way to go, Al. Super job with the questions. All year, you and Dave Holtzman. A lot of fun. Sprint questions have never been better. Ooh, geez, that's that cutter right there. Beauty. Locked him up. How about Bill Miller's call? I like that. Looks like his body language looked like he was cranking up a chainsaw.
Good one. So 2 down to Tyler Naquin. Naquin led off the 3rd inning, and Kennedy jumped ahead of him 0-2, and then drilled him on the right arm, and then Yan Gomes hit a 2-run home run. 1 ball, 1 strike, so he scored 1 of the 3 runs. The difference right now is Lindor's sacrifice fly in the 8th inning to score Santana. Two and 1. Two balls, 2 strikes. We'll do it again. Royals in the bottom of the ninth are scheduled to send up Nava, Perez, and Orlando. And there's Cody Allen waiting in the Indians bullpen.
And I'm sure Terrence Gore is waiting patiently in there too. Beautiful pitch.
So that'll do it for Wade Davis in 2016. He finishes with a 1-2-3 ninth inning and 2 strikeouts. Royals are down by 1 to the bottom of the ninth. Bottom of the ninth inning. Royals need a win to finish above 500. And today's copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Club. Daniel Nava, followed by Salvador Perez and Paulo Orlando, to face Indians closer Cody Allen, who saved yesterday's game, his 31st of the year. Michael Martinez takes over in center field for Tyler Naquin. Cody Allen in game 1 pitched a 1-2-3 bottom of the ninth in a non-save situation, and then he faced 4 in a save situation yesterday.
Fastball power curve. Mid-90s heater. Just get a Royals base runner on. Gore to score is waiting, and also they got Mondesi. They got 2 really good set of legs out there.
This is Nava's first at bat today. And this is why the Royals went and got Daniel Nava. He's a switch hitter. He's always been a better hitter from the left side of the plate. And the Royals wanted a veteran left-hand bat off the bench. $29,475 are here today, hoping for one last rally. Nava takes a fastball at 95, and it's 1-2.
He's firm. It's straight to. That's the one Nava wanted. Still have to look for the fastball, but adjust to the power curve if it's close. Stay with the heater.
Line foul. Good range displayed by the Royals ball boy. He is, I looked him up, he's plus 12 this year in defensive run saved.
On balls that are foul. Yeah, way to go. There you go, young man.
Two and two. Updating the other scores that affect the Indians. Atlanta still leads Detroit. It is 1-0 in the top of the 8th inning. Boston has tied Toronto. They are 1-1 also in the 8th inning. Three balls, 2 strikes. Hanley Ramirez tied that game with a home run, and we understand there was some controversy over it, and there was a delay on a review. Full count on Nava. Fighting it off, still 3-2. On the ground to first, Santana will take it himself. 1 out. Salvador Perez, the designated hitter today, and he's 1 for 3. Breaking ball is low. And now 2 balls, no strikes. Way outside, 3-0. Salvia's homered 22 times this year for a new career high. Last year he set a career high with 21. Also tied his career high this year in doubles and runs scored. Almost hit him. Tying run is on with 1 out. Here comes Terrence Gore. What an ovation he gets. That'll pump a guy up.
Yes, it sure will. Salvador Perez draws his 22nd walk. Escobar beat him in that category. He had 27. Now it's up to Gore to score. Keep this game alive. Paulo's looking for one thing. That's a good fastball out over the middle. Yeah, and you know, he might take a few pitches here. Gore likes to go early.
The only catcher who has ever thrown out Terrence Gore in a regular season game just happens to be behind the plate. Roberto Perez.
Well, good luck to him. If he can do it again in consecutive throws, then I'll tip my hat to him. But Paulo loves to swing early in the count. With Gore over there at first base, Allen, the pitcher, has a fastball, a good one. He's going to challenge him. He's going to throw it there. So, look, if he thinks he can jump it out of the yard for a walk-off, go ahead. Heater's coming.
Not running. And Paulo was trying to distract Roberto Perez, showing bunt, and the pitch is high.
And he might could do that again if he knows he's going, but it doesn't.
Gore does not have the steal sign. So by putting the bat right at eye level of the catcher, it distracts him, and it can hurt his view.
Not running, and it's fouled back.
Good swing. Let's not forget the damage that Paulo can do on swinging the bat.
Yeah, and I was thinking the same thing. You know, we'd all love to see Gore run and get into scoring position, but Paulo's going to get some fastballs here.
Good placement of the pitch. Always up and in just enough. That's right down the middle. He might have got it.
And now timeout called. The last time Gore came into a game was on Thursday, and like today, he entered as a pinch runner for Salvador Perez, and the Royals trailing by 1. But Brandon Kinsler picked off Gore to end the game.
Well, Gore was leaning. Cody Allen does a good job of holding varying his times.
There he goes, and Perez throws him out again.
Well, if I had a hat, I would tip it to him.
He didn't get a great jump. He slipped. The Royals are going to take another look.
Yeah.
And they will not challenge, but Gore, let's take a look at, I think it was his left foot. Yep. He didn't quite get the traction that he wanted, and Roberto Perez has gunned down Terrence Gore twice.
Well, I think it's safe to say that Perez owns Gore.
And then the game is over. So the Cleveland Indians sweep the 3-game series, and they finish the season at 94-67. You know, they never lost more than 3 games all year, and now they'll sit back and see what happens in Atlanta and in Boston, and the fans come to their feet and cheer on the Royals one last time. The Royals, for the first time, by the way, in franchise history, finished right at 500, 81-81.
Oh, well, you know what? You got to congratulate Terry Francona and the Cleveland Indians for the way they came in here to the K and the only team in the Central that dominated them. And good luck to them in the postseason. Now, folks want to stick around. Don't turn the channel, because Eric Hosmer has a nice special message for you coming up.
Cleveland Indians go 14-5 against the Royals this year. Final score 3-2. We'll be right back.